2012 to 2014 were some of the best years of my life. I was playing in like 5 or 6 bands. And one afternoon I got this call that said, "Hey Matt, we know this really, really badass guitar player and he's looking for a drummer." So I don't really remember who called who exactly, but that is when I met Russ Driver and his good friend Tom. And I started driving out to Meadville, Texas to practice with their band, Driver. After the very first time playing with Driver, I realized right away the musicianship level of this band and was really happy to be a part of it. As far as the world of guitar players go, Russ is one of those guys that if the king says too many notes, then he's going to play that amount of notes and throw in about 900 more notes and fork what the king thinks. You're going to like what he plays. That style of guitar playing is just amazing to me. Guys that are like Joe Satriani and Gary Hoey and Boomby Malmsteen, and Russ is a specialist in that. And when I get around guitar players like that, oftentimes I say I play guitar, but when I'm around guys that can play guitar like that, I don't even mention the fact that I even pick up guitar. The piece you're hearing here is called Gone Surfing by Gary Hoey, and it was one of my favorite pieces that we did. And years later, I didn't realize that I'd be taking a little surfing adventures myself. Truly, it was an honor playing for Russ, and as a player, he's just a fantastic player. And I'll also mention, as a band leader, that he runs a very tight ship, and he will let you know if you hit a wrong note or a wrong beat or something. But that's good because Russ strives for excellence in what he does. A lot of times I'd leave the gigs and come home, I was just exhausted. We did do a lot of Metallica covers, which was kind of cool. And from the very beginning, Russ told me I like to do things just a little bit faster. There were 3 different bass players during the time that I was in this band. And it was always really important to coordinate with that other bass player, to be solid, to lock in, to be able to be that power team to play behind this guy. I was having a lot of fun in this band, and generally when I do have fun, I like to monkey around with everybody and monkey around with my guys on stage. And occasionally, even though as tight as we ran our show, I got to do that with Driver. It was amazing to play in a 3-piece that was so tight that, we do just these horrendous licks. And before you even knew what hit you, we were already passed by it and on to the next lick, sort of like the Rush theory. We would just go and do a part, and then would hit you a few minutes later, like, what just happened? Not to mention Russ's leads were just dead spot on every time. Another thing about this band is the show was very planned. We'd go out of one song into another song into another song. There wasn't like 2 or 3 minutes in between songs where guys were tuning their guitars or messing around on stage. I mean, when you came to see Driver, you were going to get a good 55 solid minutes of ripping rock and roll come fly right over your head before you even knew what hit you. As a drummer, I've always loved high energy playing. I've always loved playing fast. I've always loved playing hard. So this particular band was really a match made in heaven. I was just having the time of my life. The first bass player I got to work with was a guy named Tom. He was just a phenomenal bass player. Really admire working. One of the best bass players I've ever gotten the pleasure to work with. Later on, Tom would have to take a break from playing due to some medical issues. At this time, I hadn't realized it yet, but I was about to suffer the similar fate as Tom. I had a lot of pride playing for Driver, and I still have a lot of pride in the fact that I did get to play for Driver, because it was truly one of the most organized, best progressive rock bands I've ever been in. The next bass player to join Driver during the time that I was in Driver was a guy named Ron McCleskey. And Ron was a really good bass player, and I really enjoyed the time that Ron was playing in Driver, because Ron added a type of almost a southern hospitality to the band. I never had any fear whatsoever playing with Driver that we wouldn't go over well, because we're so tight and we practice all the time. And when you're playing pieces like YYZ by Rush, and you're not afraid to walk out there and do them, you know that you have a really tight band. Not only that, but mentioning that we are actually driving the sound. We are driving things a little bit quicker than normally they are. So playing in this band, you always had to really pay attention, because if you blink a second, then you're going to get left behind. And that's a real rush, man, when you're just driving like a freight train right through everything, and you're just slamming it out there, and everybody out there is just like, holy smokes, look at this. Didn't take long until Driver was booking all over the place and packing places, and Driver actually had a really good cult following of people that have followed Rush Driver everywhere he goes for years, and they still did. So now I'm playing in like 5 or 6 bands. So I'm playing every weekend, and I'm doing shows with Driver, I'm playing for other groups, and I'm really happy, and especially to be part of this particular band, because this band was so organized and had together such a great show. I'd honestly prepare. I'd stretch and I'd relax, and I'd make sure I was very well rested, because I knew that playing for Driver, it's kind of like running when you hit the ground. Once you hit the ground, you start running, and you just keep running and running and running and running until you're dead. It's a beautiful thing to take all that high energy and ride it all the way up to the tip of the razor's edge and still keep going. There's a certain beauty and a certain thing to being able to do that. The next bass player to come into Driver was none other than Darren Brasso, whom I've worked with in 3 other bands so far this term and this stay down in Houston. During the time that Darren played with Driver, gave me a little bit of a chance to relax a little bit, because Darren and I have played so many bands together. We're just already solid as a bass drummer too. What was also cool about being in a tight group like this is we still had room to clown around every now and then. Now, there were a few things at this time in my life that were bothering me personally, personal issues. And I had legal issues. At the same time, I had a decline in eyesight. And I found out that I had cataracts and was going to need a rear lens replacement in both eyes. I consulted with an old friend of mine, a girl I knew in junior high school, that had become a professor of optometry at University of Houston. She recommended a very good eye surgeon in Eye Center, Texas, in Pasadena, Texas. When I went into the consultation with the eye doctor who was going to do the surgery, he told me, I have some bad news. He said, you're a drummer, you can't overheat yourself after the surgery. I was going to have to sit out 6 to 8 months from playing to let the sutures fully sit. At that point, I said, all right, if I'm going to have to go out, if I'm going to have to sit out, well, I'm going to go out in style and I'm going to enjoy the ride. And it was really kind of cool because I think all the guys and all the bands that I was playing with, they all knew that I had a limited amount of time left until I was going to have to sit out for a while, and everybody was cool with it, and that really meant a lot. So I realized at this point that I was going to have to tell all the bands that I work with, I'm sorry, I've got to, stay at home and stay in the AC, and they're not allowing me to do anything. I can't even lift anything over 10 pounds supposedly for 6 months. So this was kind of heartbreaking to me, but at the same time I said, you know what, I'm going to make the best of it, and we're going to have a hell of a ride the rest of the time I've got left. A date was set for early May when I would have the first eye done, and then they would do the second eye a month later. So, in knowing that this was going to happen to me in the near future, and I asked them, am I going to go blind? And they said, yes, you are going to go blind. I said, well, how long do I have left? They said, we don't know, but at the rate that your lenses are deteriorating, not much longer left. And so I said to myself, you know what, if this is going to happen, I'm going to have a hell of a ride on the way out. So I just concentrated on that and just kept on playing gigs and playing gigs, and if that's the way it's going to be, well, at least I'm going to go out in style before I have to call it quits for a while. So at this point, I'm playing like I played when I was 27 and 28 years old again. And I am just doing everything I can in my drumming to play as hard and as fast as I can, get all those licks out there, and make sure that I'm remembered, because I'm going to be sitting out, I'm going to be like a little kid sitting on the park bench for a little while, not allowed to play baseball. And, I know it's going to suck, I know it's coming up, but I'm also looking forward to getting it over with and getting back into the scene. Each day I was having less and less vision, and I was having this deal where I call tunnel in and tunnel out. Sometimes I'd have several hours of vision, and then it would just slowly start to tunnel out or tunnel back in. And I was starting to get used to it. And what's amazing to me is that I was still able to play like this, and even sometimes being able to throw and catch my sticks, not even seeing where they were coming down or where they were. So at this point, I'm riding the wave. I'm going to play the best I possibly can, and I'm going to enjoy what's left of the time I have left till I can play again. Later on, after I left Driver, Russ changed the name of the band to the Russ Driver Band. They have a new CD out. I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend going out and picking it up. It was awesome playing for Driver, and we had a lot of really, really good times, and it was a really good, solid band, and I'm very proud to have been a part of it.